All right, so we got another update in the Kaylee Gain case, and this is, I got a few videos up on this. Go check them out. I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinion on this case. It's a very tragic, sad situation. Kids beefing in high school, fighting. It's something that's been happening since the beginning of kids going to school. It probably will always continue to go on, but it went too far. I've had a lot to say on it, so again, check out my other videos. But like I said, it went too far. There's no way of getting out that this girl is going to face charges. Slamming her head off the pavement like that was when it went beyond just a fight. And it was crazy, too, the fact that there was a brawl, all-out melee. But it's just all these political narratives going on. You know, the Attorney General was heavily advocating that this girl needs to be charged as an adult. Will that happen? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see at the certification hearing. But he did this interview now where now he's talking about he's open to looking into the matter as a hate crime.
And you talk about ethnic groups. I mean, we looked into the school. The school is like the minority in this school was the white girl. The school has like a 1% white population. And so could you see like bringing superseding charges, like a civil rights charge, to say that this was a hate crime?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts there. First and foremost, this teen, the attacker, absolutely needs to be tried as an adult. And there's really no discretion under Missouri law. It's Section 211071. It mandates that when you have a teen who commits a first-degree assault, which is the intent to inflict serious physical injury, which was both the intent as evidenced by the repeated bludgeoning of the victim's head by the assailant against the concrete, and then the resultant serious physical injury, the traumatic brain injury. When you have a first-degree assault like that, there has to be a certification hearing. And teens of this age who commit adult crimes need to be held accountable as adults. The juvenile code exists to serve the best interests of the child. And sweeping something like this under the rug does not serve the best interests of the child, because we'll be dealing with more violent behavior later on if there isn't some level of accountability. And again, multiple teens were involved in this fight. The video really focuses on the attacker and the victim, but multiple teens were engaged in conflict on the public street, near the school, in broad daylight. So again, we've got to figure out what systems need to be in place to prevent this. And we absolutely, at the Attorney General's office, have the authority under the Missouri Human Rights Act to file suit and get an injunction against any entity whose racist policies are harming individuals. And this is where the rubber hits the road. I mean, this is absolutely demonstrative of when you place these kind of radically, racially divisive, progressive policies ahead of public safety. This can be the result, and we can't let that happen. There needs to be no more victims in the state of Missouri, and we will use the full authority of the Attorney General's office to ensure that that's the case.
So it sounds like you're open to potentially bringing civil rights charges as a hate crime, as this is somebody who's being targeted for the color of their skin.
Well, certainly we've outlined in the demand letter that initiated the investigation to the school, not only the evidence that we needed to obtain in order to ascertain, what systems were in place here, but to go after these DEI programs and stomp them out once and for all. And there is absolutely legal authority for the Attorney General's office to do that. And we're going to let the law enforcement agencies continue their investigation of the criminal offense and wait to see and make sure that not only the juvenile court, but the juvenile officer do the right thing here and ensure that this teen is held accountable in adult court.
Good. This is exactly what should happen. Like, you cannot live in a zero trust society or a consequence-free society. Otherwise, you will encourage 1,000 more incidents like this. And it'll be all of our children everywhere that'll have to suffer from this. And that is not a world we want to live in.
All right, so you heard that. He's open to looking into it as a hate crime, and I just cannot see how that's what this is. I personally, and again, everyone, please comment, subscribe to the channel for more true crime content. Go check out all my other videos. Like, I don't know. I'm not there. I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I just don't feel like this was a racially motivated attack or fight, Like I said, it's just been getting spun politically and racially, and I guess that's normal, that things that hit the news cycle, politicians and people like that are going to spin things for their political gain. That's typical, but it gets away from really dealing with the real matter. It can when things get spun like that, in my opinion. And there's so many questions I have about this. Like I was pointing out in my other video, who is this adult? People are saying it's Kaylee Gain's mother. I don't know that that's true, but why was there an adult there? It's all going to come down to if the authorities are doing their job correctly and doing their due diligence and really investigating all of this and getting down to the truth and the facts of the matter. But an adult being on the scene for this, just like, what is up with that? Hopefully they've caught up with her and questioned her. As the mother of the other child, the one that I believe is still in custody, who has been charged and, is sitting awaiting to find out what her fate will be when it comes to the legal system. Again, will she be charged as an adult? Will it stay in juvenile courts? I don't know. Again, she has to face charges. I feel the slamming of the head, that's when it went from beyond a fight and went into just something else. But this hate crime talk, to me, I just think, like, come on, that's not what this is. As there's been all this talk about this DEI training and this DEI program or whatever, and when it comes to that, I'm not really understanding it. From my understanding, it's something that's supposed to be put in schools, workplaces, different things of that nature to, have everyone respect other ethnicities and other races. And the way the politicians are spinning it are saying this DEI training made the officers at this school not pursue any actions against any black kids that were committing crimes. And that's just not true from my understanding. From what I've seen videos from in that school where the school officers were detaining kids. And I'm gonna roll another video for you in a second where it seems a lot of the stuff that the Attorney General and other things we're seeing may not necessarily be very accurate. But I don't know. What does everyone think about this whole DEI was put in front of safety of the children as the number one priority? Like, could that be what it is? Again, I don't think so. I just see so much political spin going on in this matter. But the mother of the other child, she's, coming out heavily, speaking to the press and saying her daughter is the real victim. Now, I can't really see how that can be true, because her daughter, not to sound insensitive or just not having a lack of a better term to use, her daughter is not the one that had her brains halfway bashed in. I mean, I don't mean to sound insensitive, but this girl literally had trauma to her brain. So I don't think she's can really be looked at as a real victim. And that's where it's turning into who's the victim, who's not. All this racial stuff, all this political stuff. I understand that the mother is freaking out because she feels like all this news coverage and all this stuff that we're speaking of being covered in the press is going to make it where her daughter doesn't have her fair day in court and they don't get down to what the truth really is. And again, that's all going to come down to the authorities. Are they doing their job right? Again, I just don't see any way where her daughter won't face charges. But will she be charged as an adult? Again, certification hearing is going to happen. I'm not saying she should or shouldn't be. I don't really know. But the hate crime stuff, to me, again, I'm not just seeing it. But in new updates, the mother has continued to point out that her daughter was an honor student, never really been in trouble, played sports, was involved in the orchestra. And there's reports coming out that Kaylee Gain had been suspended for trying to get into some kind of fight or something like that just the day before all this went down. And that Kaylee Gain had been bullying her daughter, and her daughter just snapped and had enough. That's what the mother was pointing out. And again, stuff like this that hits the news and is just getting all the coverage, especially when there's racial aspects and narratives going on like this. I totally fear the mother feeling that her daughter won't get her fair day in court, and that public opinion is going to be swayed so far that it will affect the outcome of the justice system. And she was also very upset as she tried to raise money as well for her daughter's legal defense, but that page was clipped. She's saying, Kaylee Gaines' family raised all this money, but when we try to raise money for our daughter's legal defense, it got deaded off by GoFundMe because it violates their policies of someone being charged with a violent crime, that they don't allow fundraising in that situation. But I believe they have something else up raising money, I think. I don't know if that's been taken down as well. But basically, this isn't a situation where Kaylee Gain was just this angel and her daughter viciously just attacked her and beat her under racial motivation. That's not what it is what the mother's saying, and I believe that to be true. It doesn't mean that that's all right, what happened to Kaylee Gain, but that's just not what the facts are. And again, go check out my other videos. I covered this. There's videos about Kaylee Gain, putting up social media posts where it's clear she had been involved in a lot of riffraff and drama before and fights, and, was talking ish to people about fights and things like that. But like I said, I totally understand the mother just being fearful. She wants her daughter to get her fair day in court. Everyone, please comment with your thoughts. But there's some other reports coming out here, like I said, that are stating that not everything that this attorney general is talking about is 100% actual factual.
Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey says he plans to investigate the Hazelwood School District. He wants to know if the district's diversity, equity, and inclusion programs somehow contributed to the violent attack that injured 16-year-old Kaylee Gain. She's been moved out of the ICU and is stable after suffering a severe injury to her head. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, set out to verify a number of the claims in the Attorney General's letter. Mark?
And Mike, other news outlets have already reported that the Attorney General got basic facts wrong, like the date, the time of day, the location where that violent attack occurred. But when we took a closer look, we found several other false and misleading claims woven into Bailey's threat to investigate Hazelwood schools.
This letter from Attorney General Andrew Bailey to Hazelwood schools starts out saying 2 weeks ago on March 11, but that's false. The incident happened on Friday, March 8. Then he says student Kaylee Gain was viciously assaulted during the middle of the school day. That's also false. The attack happened after school was over. Bailey claimed Hazelwood removed uniformed police officers from its schools, when St. Louis County Police told us ultimately that decision was the chief's decision. According to Hazelwood Police, school resource officers have already been back in Hazelwood West after an agreement was unanimously approved by the Hazelwood City Council. Then, Bailey said to date, SROs are still not present in Hazelwood East schools, but this video appears to undermine that claim from inside the school the day before the attack, appearing to show a school resource officer wearing handcuffs. Bailey also said the entire community deserves answers on how Hazelwood's radical diversity, equity, and inclusion programs resulted in such despicable safety failures. St. Louis County Police said, "We're not seeing any kind of racial motivation in this fight." Hazelwood East alum Wesley Bell is the prosecutor whose office could take over this case currently in juvenile court.
So it is disappointing to see people weaponize and politicize everything, particularly when we know about past discrimination and current discrimination in this country.
Bailey also claimed, quote, not a single school resource officer was on the scene to protect Miss Gain or restore order, but that's misleading at best. There wouldn't be a school resource officer so far off campus where the fight happened. Bailey also taking political heat from Congresswoman Cori Bush tonight, who called Bailey's threats, quote, reprehensible, irresponsible, and dangerous. And she said it further harms a community affected by the devastating incidents this past month. Bush said Bailey's, quote, fabricating truths and carelessly neglecting facts undermines his responsibilities to uphold safety and security.
All right, so you see all that stuff calling out a lot of what the Attorney General's saying. I really feel like he's just focused on spinning this in his favor so he can advance his career. I don't know. What does an Attorney General pursue on to next? Like, is it senator or governor or something like that? I'm not quite sure. But again, I just don't see the hate crime discussion, and a lot of what he was saying is being challenged in that report about where the fight really happened, the date, that they got the date of the fight wrong, that it really happened off campus, not at the school, because that was a lot of question, is the school culpable, and all this DEI training that just made the officers at the school throw all the public safety out the window because of they feared being deemed racist or something like that if they had to detain someone who was black. I just don't believe that to be true at all. That officers would sit back and allow a vicious attack like that and just a full-out brawl and melee to just happen. I mean, in what world do we see this happening? You got to be careful with a lot of these news stories. The truth just gets so misconstrued. And like I said in the beginning of this video, and I said in my other videos, I'm not saying fighting should be a part of life, but it's been going on in schools and stuff like that. Like, comment, everyone, if you've ever been in a fight where school was involved one way or another. I'm not saying it should happen, but I'm saying it's happened forever and has been known to happen and continues to be going on. And yes, violence shouldn't happen. I'm not saying that this is just something that happens every day. I'm saying that this is a fight between high schoolers that just went way too far. That's why everyone's got to take notice of this and learn from this. You know, like, it sounds cliche and corny, but walking the other way, swallowing your pride and just not getting involved in a fight is can change everything. You know, had this girl who, like we said, there's all these reports coming out that she was an honor student and everything like that. Had she just said, man, fuck this, I'm not getting involved in this, she would be free and Kaylee Gain would have not got injured like that. But I don't know, just such a wild news story. Again, this girl is alive. She's breathing on her own. That is a good thing. Thank God. Once again, what is true justice? What should happen? Will she be charged as an adult? We're going to have to wait and see as the court process goes on. But this whole hate crime stuff, I'm like, come on, man. That's what you really believe is going on here, that she was just attacked because she's a white girl? I just personally don't see it. She had a black boyfriend, a lot of black friends. And again, is this mystery adult her mother? Is this mystery adult been spoken to by authorities? I want to know. You know, there's just so much. That's what's wild about this case when we continue to see these updates. Questions like that are very pertinent to everything are not getting answered. It's just political stuff being shot back and forth. And again, this is just a horrible tragedy. There's just no way this girl's not going to face charges. Had they just had a typical physical altercation that happens in high school, a scrap? No, he bashed her head off the ground 4 times. I mean, you could hear it. It was serious. It was critical, but she has woken up and is breathing on her own. So stay tuned for updates. Let's talk in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more true crime content, and I'm out of here.